In this video, I wanted to show you how you can process any vocal. So let's say you've just recorded some vocals with your friends or a vocalist, or you got some vocal line from Fiverr or anything. You downloaded the vocal, it sounds pretty good. What you do now is determines how good it will be. So first of all, you get a dry vocal, it doesn't sound good. You need to then process it and then actually start adding effects. And there's a few things you always add on your vocals before you start working with them. The vocal sounds like this.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind, float up into space and...
It's nice, but it needs auto-tune. But before we get into auto-tune, we're going to go into Edison. And in Edison, you're going to drop the vocal like this. You're going to zoom in on the empty parts. And then just to show you what it sounds like if we normalize, here you go. There's so much noise here. And that's the noise that we will actually remove, right? So drop it in, take these parts, and then click Acquire Noise Threshold and Gate Noise. And now it gates the noise in all these places. And if we now normalize it, there's no more noise. Perfect. So now we can drag and drop this into our project.
Take me tonight.
What you then want to do, and this is just a step that you do with vocals that have a pitch and are like melodic and they're sang, you know, they're sung. Jesus. You drop them in and then you just start to correct everything. So the first thing you can do is open Ctrl A and center them. So all the vocals are actually in the center.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind, float up into space.
And if you take transition and variation down,
take me tonight.
You know, it's very trap vocally, mumble rap.
Take me tonight.
But you want to correct the melody. So if you find notes that shouldn't be there, you want to change it in new tone. Then you save this sample, you drag and drop this vocal into your project. And now we went from a recorded vocal to a clean noise vocal to a vocal that's now auto-tuned. And this vocal right here could also be a rap vocal. It could also be a scream vocal, doesn't matter. But we just added auto-tune. So we can even auto-tune this more. But first, let's add some standard processing that you will add on any type of vocal. And that is compression, EQ, limiting, multiband compression. So first add an EQ and remove the bass. Female vocals, in general, will have less bass than male vocals. But what you want to look at is the last band that is generated in the vocal. Being this one. And then the lowest part it goes to, that's where you cut it.
Take me tonight.
As you can see.
Someplace in the...
Then you want to add a compressor. And in this compressor, take it down to that point where it seems like it's hitting its head. So 18.
Take me tonight.
Then you want to add OTT. Take down the depth and the downward compression.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
What you then want to add is Fruity Limiter to limit the peaks.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
Take another EQ, and with this EQ just cut the bass and just corrective EQ it.
Take me.
Because some plugins might generate some bass. So now we're going to corrective EQ these annoying, very prominent bands.
Take me tonight.
Like this.
Someplace in my mind.
Now we have a pretty clean vocal already. At this point, your rap vocal and anything will sound pretty good. There's one more thing that you can add, and that is de-essing. And de-essing is just removing the ashes. So the S's. So what we look for is de-esser, intelligent de-esser. It's a patcher preset. You can use this.
Take me.
You can find the highs. So inspect, find the right ones. And it's like to remove the shh. Now, we did that.
Take me tonight.
I want to put that after all this. And now we have a pretty wide vocal. So stuff we can add now is take a vocal.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
The patcher is a little bit too rough and the limiting removes a little bit too much of the highs, the peaks.
Tonight, someplace in my mind.
That's better. So now we have a pretty nice vocal, and the final thing we can do is just render this, or we can just put it in a new channel and add like final processing. So I like to add OTT one more time.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
In this case, the de-essing wasn't really that necessary because the vocal is pretty clean in terms of the sh. So
take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
we can take this down a bit.
Float up into space.
And now we just add reverb, delay, distortion, whatever you want. So if you want to add distortion, sure.
Take me tonight.
But before I do this, I can add autotune. So because this is a vocal that is very autotuned, take autotune, put this after OTT. That's pretty good, like right here.
Take me tonight.
I think it's an E.
Someplace in my mind.
And it's in minor, so
float up into space and change the fate of the time.
that's cleaner. So now in front of the distortion, you can boost the mids like here or here.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
That's pretty powerful. So if you distort, don't just do it like this.
Take me tonight.
Maybe just boost the mids at certain parts a bit. And then corrective EQ it at the end again. Like remove the bass and the mids.
Take me tonight.
To make it clean again.
Someplace.
A nice thing you can add as well is Vocal Doubler. It's a free plugin. Here is the separation and here is the variation. So you can see 1, 2, 3 vocal bands. Right now it's very mono. And there it gets more separated. And here it gets more variated. Like the... Basically what happens is... This is how the vocal sounds like now. And then if you make a separate variation, it looks like that. Kind of this way.
Take me.
So it's kind of creating a chorus, but that's Vocal Doubler. Very nice.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
Vocal Doubler, well, now we have a pretty clean vocal. The final thing you can add is a ducking reverb channel or just reverb on top of the vocal. Doesn't really matter. I like ducking reverb, of course. Just add Valhalla Room, very wet.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
Limiter.
Float up into space and change the fate of the time. Take me tonight, someplace in my mind. Float up.
Like that, and we can add more reverb. Just make it as wet as you want. You can also put the reverb on top of the vocal without the ducking reverb, doesn't matter. But this is a basic vocal, and you can do this with a rap vocal as long as you cut the noise in between these empty spaces, as long as you declick it. So if there's clicks in between still, just cut them out this way. Like take a knife and just remove a click. So let's say here was a click, like this part here was a click. Just select it, cut it out. As long as you do that, then EQ it, compress it, limit it, multiband compress it, and add some clarity, corrective EQ, and some reverb, you will have a very good vocal. If you have a melodic vocal, take Melodyne or Autotune and make sure that the melody actually sounds on key, and then you have a nice vocal.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
When we're still talking about vocals, here's a nice trick you can do. Open up Serum, okay? Open up Serum or any generator and just create like a very nice beginning rhythm. And then put it on like a very nice melody. That's what I'm trying to say. Take a melody. Also, when you're making vocals, make sure you're rendering in the BPM that the vocal was recorded in. So this vocal, for effect, was recorded in 155. When you're now rendering the vocal, make sure you render that in 155 for project tempo as well. So add this rhythm in here.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
So what happens here is a bass line and a vocal, but we can take both of these and have them go into one channel. Let me quickly show you. Have them go into a vocal channel. In here you want to add vocodecs, and on vocodecs you're going to take a modulator and a carrier. So the modulator is the vocal and the carrier is the synth. And now we have this effect.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind. Take me tonight.
And you can do this with a bass, but you can also do it with chords. So if I make a chord.
Take me tonight, take me tonight, take me tonight.
Just make basic chords.
Someplace in my mind. Take me tonight, someplace in my mind.
you can create the bass line.
Take me tonight.
Like that. It's pretty cool to just play around with this, but it's a nice layer to put underneath a vocal. So, you know, this is one vocal and the other one, yeah, so we have one going in.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind. Float up into space and change the fate of the time.
Just play around with this. It's nice to have a vocoder, so that's a cool trick. Another cool trick is, of course, creating vocal chops, because we're still talking about vocals. So vocal chops, Fruity Slicer is nice. So let's take Fruity Slicer. And in here, you just drag and drop one of these vocals. So we have a vocal created, it's ready. So let's just say the render of that vocal is right here. It's called Ocean, I guess. We can change the amount of chops here. This is fine. Put it at the right BPM. And it's an E minor. Here you can change the pitch. So, or this is like this is the pitch. So E minor. And now we can create vocal chops. So. And now we can create vocal chops. So. And we can add that. So, you know.
Take me tonight, someplace in my mind. Float up in space.
And then you can add distortion to these vocal chops. And you can make them a little bit more interesting. So distortion, EQ to get the bass gone. Let's just create a simple chain. OTT just to make it better. And then you can add Valhalla Room. And you can change the pitch of these. So if you go and drag open this one here, go to fine pitch, and you make them longer like this, or like make sure you're at like in the middle of these points you put them in. You can read here if you're on pitch, but you can change the pitch. So
take me tonight,
like that.
take me tonight.
And it's like the Martin Garrix Mesto kind of thing, that vocal chops and EDM, it works really well. Vocals, you know, process them right, put them in a nice vocoder, add vocal chops, play around with it, and just have fun.